guys, welcome into Slaughterhouse Sports and unbelievable developments that are taking place in Boulder, Colorado right now. I couldn't wait to get home from work and be able to talk about this video because, you know, I enjoy covering college football. I do enjoy covering the Buffaloes. A lot of people on this channel like and tune into Colorado content and videos. And today, we have just a monumental change in the middle of the season that is not only unique for Colorado, but would be unique at any university. I mean, the University of Iowa let go of their offensive coordinator, but he was there 5 years and had one of the worst offenses in college football. Today, Deion Sanders takes out Sean Lewis and demotes Sean Lewis and puts in his place a former NFL head coach and offensive coordinator, the more experienced Pat Shurmur. There are a lot of angles to cover, and we're going to try to do it in about 12 or 15 minutes here on Slaughterhouse Sports, and I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say about this. My gut reaction to the decision is I am not in complete favor of this decision. Because maybe it's because I was a Giants fan, didn't watch Pat Shurmur's offenses. Maybe it's because I saw the lack of explosive plays that he was able to generate in Cleveland in terms of a passing game. But it's very interesting because Sean Lewis, I think, is a very bright mind. And I look at what Sean Lewis did against even a very good Nebraska defense. You're seeing how great Nebraska's defense is. They're playing like a top 10 defense under Tony White. Colorado lit them up. Colorado in the second half lit up Colorado State. They also were able to absolutely dominate Texas Christian the first game of the year with Dylan Edwards and company. Okay, then they were able to scratch by Arizona State. Their offense was able to be relatively successful against Stanford. And yes, Shadeur Sanders, numbers-wise, this offense has been pretty good. In terms of winning games, yeah, they've lost, probably, three out of the last 4 games, Colorado has lost. But really, I look at Sean Lewis as, one, he is young, but I also look at him as innovative. I like the up-tempo approach. You're going to the Big 12 Conference where you're going to be able to play that style where you can throw it all over the yard and you could be a pass-first team and you could be an up-tempo, hurry-up, air raid team. You can do this. You can be a simplistic offense. You can be a basketball-on-grass sort of team. It's not like Scott Frost at Nebraska, where it's not like you're going to the Big Ten, and it's not like Michigan, or it's not like Colorado's going to have to go and play your Iowas, your Wisconsins. It's not like they're going to have to go to Notre Dame. You're not going to play Minnesota. You're not going to play Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State. You're not going to be playing Illinois in a Brett Bielema defense. You're not. You're playing Baylor. You're playing Texas Tech. You're playing Houston, TCU. This is perfectly generated for an offense that is, you got to score points to win, and you got to score in bunches. And Sean Lewis has been one of the best coaches on the team. I know that UCLA was not a very good outcome, but even the defense, I could argue that Coach Kelly, I can argue that Charles Kelly has done a lot worse than Sean Lewis. Coach Kelly was responsible for that Stanford collapse where Stanford's passing game that has shown no pulse really in the entire year. They give up like 30 in the second half, okay? Or the Colorado State wide receiver is still catching passes. So it's not like the defense has been rock solid either. So Sean Lewis, but part of me also, you don't have to feel bad for Sean Lewis, because the great news is people see that the Colorado job, if you're going to coach at Colorado, you got to produce. And 4-4 isn't good enough at Colorado. I understand that even in year one. But Sean Lewis, his name is still going to be okay. Sean Lewis now is going to be a really, like an OC at a really high-level school, or he's going to get a coaching job because he's done a nice job with this team. His reputation has actually gone up, even with this demotion. Okay, because people see how unique this Colorado situation can be. And Deion Sanders doesn't have, Deion Sanders is not just going to sit there, and he's not going to be, quote unquote, I guess you could say, as patient with coaches as other staffs may be. So this is a really eye-opening move by Coach Prime and Deion Sanders. Okay, it's an interesting move. Now I'm going to explain why I think it's happening. One angle of this is that the Sean Lewis air raid attack is not prevalent at all across the NFL. So guys that have came from Art Briles, from Jeff Lebby, Sean Lewis, Mike Leach, air raid stuff, that offense is honestly, it doesn't serve you well at the next level, and you rarely see quarterbacks that are starting or that are backup quarterbacks that just play in a strictly air raid offense. Usually it's pro-style, attacks. You look at Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, a lot of motion. Mike McDaniel, a lot of motion, a lot of play-action pass, a lot of concepts. Instead of numbering systems, it's a lot of, terminology that you have to repeat like 7 or 8 level words. And with Sean Lewis, it's simple. It's like 8-letter words. It all stems from Urban Meyer, Dan Mullen, like the Hal Mummy, Mike Leach. It's a numbers-based offense. Like, you're running an 8, you're running a post, this guy's running a 9, and sometimes you'll mirror it on both sides of the field. But with Pat Shurmur, he is going to be teaching Shadeur Sanders full field reads. He's going to be teaching Shadeur what the NFL game is going to be like, because with NFL defenses, they're better than college defenses, and NFL offensive coordinators are going to have to scheme up against defenses, because you're going to have to trick defenses with play action, and you're going to have to operate more so in a setting where you don't have the best wide receiver talent, and where you have to maneuver it down the field and take a little bit longer than maybe 4-play drives stemming 2 minutes long. The other factor is with the hurry-up offenses, this run game hasn't been good at all, and Coach Prime wants to make this football team more physical. They want to be more pro-style. They want to get to running the ball, and they want to take time on the offensive side of the ball. So it's just, for me, why I question the move. So again, I explained to you that for Shadeur and his NFL prospects, it's better. But is this going to make the team better? I don't think so. I have doubts about Pat Shurmur because he hasn't really called plays at the college level. I also happen to like Sean Lewis. I happen to like this up-tempo offense. The wide receiver coach who came from Jackson State, they also ran an air raid system there. And you're doing this in the middle of the season. You could have waited till the end of the year to implement such a major change. And for Sean Lewis, it just would have been, it's a little bit awkward now. These last 4, the timing does not really make sense. It's not like Colorado has 2 losses and they're competing for the Pac-12 championship, and you put in, and the offense has been a glaring hole. I just think UCLA's defense is spectacular. And I don't get why you didn't make this decision at the bye week. There was a bye week before UCLA. So if you wanted to make this decision, I don't know if you made it before the bye week. Now, maybe Sean Lewis, maybe Coach Prime, maybe there's something internal that will happen. Maybe there's something internal that we are also not hearing. Maybe there was an argument. Maybe there was a spat between the coaching staff. But I happen to like Lewis. I think that he's young. I think he's modern. I think that even at Kent State, he was relatively successful. And I think that this offense was able to roll. And I really think that it's less on Sean Lewis and more on the offensive line, more on these wide receivers. I know that Sean Lewis will be on the field, holding up signs now, but that's demoting him. That's a little bit demeaning. And Sean Lewis is already already got a taste of what it's like to coach, or what it's like to be a head coach. So Sean Lewis, the odds of him coming back are pretty much, to me, almost a 98% chance that he's gone and a 2% chance he's coming back. Now you're rolling with Pat Shurmur, an NFL guy. You're going to be rolling with pro-style concepts. And was Pat Shurmur an innovative head coach? Was he really have dynamic offenses with Brandon Weeden, with Daniel Jones, with the New York Giants, with Case Keenum? I mean, they were just all right offenses, middle of the pack NFL offense. I would totally get this if Colorado were going to the Big Ten and they want to get away from the air raid and run pro style because they have to run the football. But you're going to a conference where you're playing Arizona State. You're going to a conference where I guess Utah is going to be joining the league, Cincinnati, but still, you're playing BYU. You're going to be able to throw the ball over these teams. You're still going to be able to stretch the field vertically. Sean Lewis put the game in Shadeur's hands, and Deion Sanders was finding a lot of success. For Shadeur's overall career, will the Shurmur thing help him with terminology and help him individually? Yes. But will it help this offense? Will this offense be as potent statistically? It won't be. Now, here's the interesting thing. Maybe the offense will score less points, but maybe the defense will be rested. And that's a problem with air raid tempo guys. That's even why Kellen Moore and McCarthy didn't get along too well. And I understand this from a coaching standpoint. So just because you're scoring and you're scoring really fast, ironically, scoring fast, it might not even be that good. It sounds counterintuitive, but sometimes when you're taking a longer time to score, or you're holding on to the ball in offense, your time of possession's better, your defense is able to rest, and the game is able to the game is able to be more organized than it is hectic. So by you slowing down tempo, by going with Shurmur, the defense will be able to cooperate better. So even though you might not be scoring as many points, the other team won't be scoring as much either, and the game will be much more manageable and under control and less hectic or turbulent, okay? So that's a problem with a lot of, air raid, or a lot of, what is it called? The hurry-up offense, or the no-huddle offense that Chip Kelly ran, is that when you're going 3 and out, you're throwing the defense to the wolves. It's not like Sean Lewis is some kind of figure that's absolutely incredible in terms of an all-time great coach, whether Bear Bryant or Nick Saban. It's not like that, but I think he's a really good offensive coordinator. I thought that this offense was rolling. I liked what he brought to the table. I had no problem at all with Sean Lewis, and I highly question the ability of Pat Shurmur, because I've watched, being a Giants fan, I've watched that offense, and it is not very dynamic at all. Also, you have a lot of wide receivers, and you set your team up from Jackson State. You have guys like Weaver, and Dylan Edwards is a fast back who catches the ball out of the backfield. The team is meant for tempo. And Sean Lewis would understand. I think Sean Lewis, even Chip Kelly now, you watch his offenses, their tempo is not ridiculous. But I've seen Sean Lewis salt away games before. I think he's totally capable of doing the job. So really, Pat Shurmur was a pretty, polarizing figure, or I'm not going to say overbearing, but he was a really monumental figure here. It was almost like if Mike Zimmer was going to be on staff, if you were Charles Kelly, you would be worrying as well. So it's competition. When you're at Colorado, you got to have thick skin to play at Colorado. And I like that. And if you don't have thick skin, you're not going to make it there, and Deion and Coach Prime is not even going to be interested in you. It's a bottom line business. That's why I love the sport of football. And that's really what I do love about this Colorado program. I could respect it. There's multiple ways to go about it. You could be a quote unquote players coach, or you could be as hard-nosed and honest as possible. And you're not going to coddle at all, and that is what Colorado is. For some reason, coddling is known, or for some reason, not coddling, that's known as something that's old and outdated. Oh, he's an old school coach. He's very honest and blunt and mean, and he could hurt me with comments. Oh, that person is old school and tough. Well, tough's a nice word, but how come it can't be a new idea to be tough? How come it can't be a new idea to be, somewhat strict? Like Bobby Knight just passed away, and Bobby Knight won a ton of games, and his players, for the most part, really liked him, coached them hard, and loved them harder. How come that happens to be the old school way? Or and then of course I understand the cursing out of players, and it can get over the top. I understand that. I'm not advocating for berating players all the time or possibly putting their health in danger by having them out during 100-degree heat. But getting to the point here, I'm confused on the direction of the program. I didn't like the timing of it today, in all honesty. I am not just going to automatically just carry water at all times for Coach Prime in the program. What they've done has been really overachieved expectations, started out really well, even beating Arizona State. You guys see how good Arizona State is playing right now. This is such a tough league, and the job that's already been done, Coach Sanders, Coach Prime, and this football team has overachieved. It's just I like Sean Lewis, and with Pat Shurmur, I definitely question, will he be dynamic enough on offense? That's what I question. Will the offense be innovative? Will the offense have explosive plays? That's what I really question about this move. And I felt that Coach Lewis was really doing a fine job with the offense. They had one kind of poor week against a great opponent. Good news is for Shurmur, first year in college. So Sean Lewis, like I said, Sean Lewis, I still believe will get great opportunities in the near future. I think his career is still on the up and up. These next 4 weeks might be a little bit tough. For Shurmur, he won't be as coveted as Lewis. So you could build continuity because Sean Lewis could have been poached or even hired. He's held in a really high regard from people who cover the sport too, and for people who make decisions. So overall, very interesting. Went a little over 15 minutes. Hope you guys still watch the video. Let me know your thoughts. You could definitely disagree with me on this forum, but big news out of Boulder.